Do it. All right, how we doing, everybody? How's it going? We're back with another round here. This time with a special guest. And I'll hand it off right here.
Well, just Corey over here. Just a little film critique myself. I like a little film, Decided to join Vishal here and just kind of watch some film and talk about some film. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, man. As I say, the Chamber of Reflection. We encourage discussion. So we're gonna our big topic here today is gonna be the film Michael. Just came out. Michael Jackson. All right, Corey, what do you think? I'll hand it off to you first. What are your thoughts here?
So, initially going in, before we even got to all see it, we kept hearing the critic score is really low, and I was just like, why? Like, how could you... My previous experience has been, The American Dream, which is a 4-part miniseries, and then you got the Flex Alexander version of this. So, going in, you're like, okay, you kind of got an easy bar to beat. Besides the American Dream. American Dream was great. So I was just looking at it like, okay, what are they saying? What are they not complimenting here? So I was very curious walking in, but I just off bat enjoyed it.
100%. You're a big Michael fan too, right?
Huge Michael fan.
Oh yeah, and that's the big thing I think for this one. Like as you were saying with the American Dream and stuff too. As a concept in this movie, I think it's displayed well in the sense of like you see what the payoff is, what the effect of that individual is, and especially when it comes to Michael Jackson, the biggest pop star, one of the biggest, arguably the biggest artist of all time. I know he is for me. That's my goat right there.
I agree.
That's my goat. You really see this movie, I think, more than the story about the man is the story of his effect and his influence on the world, and that's, I think, the big takeaway here. If you like Michael Jackson, you're gonna love this movie for sure.
It's definitely more the impact more than him, which I think that's the critique that most critics had. It's like they want more about his insight, how he thinks, how he even comes up with an idea. And I think in that regard they are right. However, to give it as low of a score they did, I don't agree.
Yeah,
I just don't agree.
I totally agree. And we were talking about this earlier. I think there is some sort of debate or controversy going on behind the scenes here with a lot of the individuals involved, the actual people who don't necessarily agree with how they've been portrayed in the film. And you totally can see that. I could totally see that happens a good amount in Hollywood. When there's certain real people that get offended, they can review bomb the movie, try to get not as many people to see it. But hey, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. The movie is pretty fun.
Or even like the fact that like my biggest critique, and I know this is because she didn't want to be in it, but no Janet,
just Latoya,
just no Janet.
Yeah, that threw me off too. I'm like, because they did bring up Latoya a few times in the movie.
Yeah, they kept bringing her up.
There's another pretty prominent sister I think in here as well, right? But all right, it's okay. But other than that, I guess my major critique, I think it would echo what you were saying, Corey. A lot of it would have to be less. I guess more about the man himself, more about his process. We did see like shades of it. See, it'd be one thing if the movie exclusively focused on like the aura of Michael Jackson and like the effect that he had and his performance, his like influence across the world. And that's what the majority of it was. But they did flirt with a lot of, when they showed with the animals, with the chimp, with his relationship with the sick kids and kids in general. We can get to that. But they didn't go deep enough. They just they always just scratched the surface level. They had it like in the peripherals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then to that point, it was not like, because it is a film made in partnership with the family, they were never going to make him look bad. Which we all knew that. But like, could we get an inkling of like what were some of his challenges and struggles, other than, which was the big highlight of this movie, the family dynamic between him and his father. Oh yeah, that was probably the main through line of like, okay, I want to keep pushing past my father. I want to get off his thumb or under his thumb. And I just was like, that's a good thing to have. It was very unique in this film. I guess, well, not really super unique, but it was unique the entire film. Yeah.
The entire movie is a story between like him and his dad.
Right.
If you like ignore the whole Michael Jackson aspect, it's a story about a boy and his father.
Right.
So, and that definitely is a big part of it. With the history of like how his dad controlled these kids, was otherwise not great to his children. Not great at all. But there is a level of like, what he also made a lot of sacrifices in his real life. And then this is no defending, child abuse and whatnot. But just to play devil's advocate, there's a level of commitment that you have to have as a parent of talent like that to get them to do what they have to do. Because, kids aren't going to do them by themselves, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's true.
That's why you could say it's biased in a certain light. But, I think it is important to to highlight that. I think a lot of how Michael Jackson was ultimately in his life is a lot of like, especially with how he was with children. I think it has to do a lot with the fact of how he was treated as a kid himself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For you, is there a key shot that you were like, I love this shot. It's a standout shot of the whole film?
Ooh, dude, it's that. There's a moment when they're in New York, Michael Jackson and his lawyer, played by, first of all, Miles Teller in this movie. He's like, he's just there, you know? He's such like, Michael Jackson's not even in this movie. Just the character of Michael Jackson is so crazy that Miles Teller is like a whatever character in this movie. You don't even realize he's just there. And he knows it too.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, they're in New York and they have this meeting with Mike Myers, which is probably the best scene in the movie.
Didn't see that coming either.
It was insane, right? And then he gets out, it's a great moment of him, celebrating being I'm not just a black artist, I'm an artist, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Get me on MTV. It's a great scene. And then he steps out into the city, onto the street. I don't know what avenue it is, but it's a good looking avenue. There's so many people there. They're all chanting his name, and he gets on top of this car, and we get this like bird's eye wide shot of him like waving to this giant crowd of people. The Chrysler buildings in the background. That shit made me tear up, man. That shit was beautiful. That epitomizes Michael Jackson. I think that's why the movie had that, and I'm like, I'm happy. I'm good. That's all I wanted to see.
Yeah, I love that shot. My favorite shot would probably be, I guess, towards the end where they're doing the bad tour. And it's just the essence of who Michael Jackson was, that performance, the peak of him kind of just being who he was.
Oh.
I think the standout thing for me in this film was knowing that, me being 28 right now, his whole 20s was like, that was his era. That was his peak, and he maintained it till he died.
That's crazy, right? And
he's
maintaining it after he's dead too.
Yeah, like how do you even do that?
It's insane, man.
But that was amazing to see, just that performance at the end. I think everyone it was a culmination of him showing, hey, I want my independence. Here's who I am. Here's how I'm going to get it. And I'm sick of it. And I want to just kind of be me. I want to be me to the fullest extent.
And that's kind of what that bad album like symbolizes, right? It's really him stepping into his own, doing something different, being fully himself. And I think that was a good, bookend, right? Because we started with that shot from behind him, and we ended there. I mean, we got the full song of Bad. We got a few full songs in here, which, hey, I'm not complaining about, but I could totally see how some people are like, cool, all right, so this is a music video. Right?
Yeah. I mean, some people could say it is a glorified 2-hour music video,
yeah.
Which, if you're a fan, it's not really much to complain about. You're enjoying it the entire time. Like, I want more.
Yeah,
I know this song.
The foot was tapping the entire way. Not just me. Everybody was tapping their foot.
Oh yeah. The audience too. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff on Instagram and whatnot, but people have been going crazy in the theaters. They've been out there just dancing. Like, I expected the costumes. I expected, a little bit of like rambunctiousness, but people going in front of the theater and dancing and just hooting and hollering.
I saw some kid moonwalking.
Oh my gosh. And I was just like, if I was in your theater, we gotta fight.
Yeah, for real. I'm like, hey, guys, we gotta respect.
Either we gotta fight or we can be dancing together.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's some kind of like, it's welcome because it's Michael, but it's also like, I'm trying to enjoy it.
Exactly right.
It's a little bit like, I don't know.
As a fellow A-list guy, as an enjoyer of the cinema, the cathedral of cinema, there's certain rules you have to follow, right? But no, it's good. Well, how many stars did you end up giving this one?
So I landed on a 4.5, just off instinct. I could be convinced to go down to a 4 based on the criticism, but I land probably in that 4 to 4.5 sweet spot. What about you?
Me, I gave it a 3.5, and I think this is where like personal ratings come into play, because I very much had a good time with this movie, but like how I would rate it, like how I would rate movies as a rule on Letterboxd specifically, is like if there is something that's drawing back the film, like critically as a film itself, like I love Michael Jackson. I knew that. I knew I would love Michael Jackson, but if I didn't know who Michael Jackson was and I was going into this, I wouldn't be convinced to be a Michael Jackson fan after watching the film. There wasn't enough about the man
really
himself. I think so because like every time it's only because of the personal aspect of things. They just I don't think they went deep enough for it to be that evocative. Like I didn't come out of this knowing like my fandom of Michael Jackson affected any differently, if that makes sense. Like I was a huge fan before, I'm a huge fan after. The movie didn't necessarily give me anything new that I didn't already know. You know what I mean?
It didn't give me anything new. However, it did just make me appreciate that he was who he was and his influence was that of what it was.
100%.
To this day, you can't. People try to kind of emulate, like, okay, I'm gonna be as big as Michael Jackson. You know, Drake. That's his whole thing.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
It's like I got all the hits. I got this and this. But it's like
One away from Michael.
no one is touching Michael Jackson, and as far as like essence and power
Yeah.
and influence and just who he was.
Totally.
You know, you got those people who say Beyonce's up there. I don't agree. I mean, you got Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. He will always be that. And I think what this film does is for new generations, like, hey, by the way, Michael Jackson existed. Here's who he was.
Oh yeah, totally. And see, that's the thing. I could see myself as time goes on. Like I could see myself rewatching this and giving it a higher rating, just in the moment. As far as like from a critique's perspective, you know, for the sake of film, I'm sticking with the 3.5. Which 3.5 to me is a great movie. It's a good movie, great movie. It just doesn't do anything extraordinarily special for me. You know what I mean?
That's
but
fair.
I could totally see it going up from there.
That is fair. My 3.5 is more like I have a whole rating system myself. My 3.5 is usually like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. A 4.5 for me is it's great. And then or a 4 is great. A 4.5 is it's pretty damn good, and a 5 is basically flawless.
Yeah, yeah. That's 5 is like, you know, top movies of all time for me. 4.5 is like it's close to that, but they're bangers with like maybe 1 or 2 little things that I would adjust to make it that don't bring it quite to a 5. But even though the 4.5 movies I have are still like all timers for me, you know. So that's why it's funny to see. Everybody has like a different system when it comes to Letterboxd.
Oh
so.
yeah. I get like 3.5. People are like, oh, it's only 3.5. Like, no, that means it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty good.
exactly. I know it's not that bad. For real. All right, let's round this off with what are your most anticipated movies of the year, Corey?
Oh, I got Spider-Man up there.
Okay.
The Spider-Man, I guess, technically 4 for Tom Holland.
Yep.
That's really up there.
Mm-hmm.
Big Spider-Man fan. And then I guess it's low-key Avengers. Don't hate me, but I'm still a Marvel fan.
I'm with you,
Until
bro.
they fail, until like completely fail, crumble, I'm still toughing it out.
100%. Hey, yeah. So you're honorable for standing by. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm a huge fan myself, but I'm still waiting for the day that they prove me. I'm really rooting for them. I'm really rooting for them to prove me. For me, I would say most anticipated is probably The Odyssey, as a big Nolan head, and just from the like entirely in IMAX is crazy. I hope I can get a seat. That's actually so stressful. And then I'd say second is probably Dune. Yeah, Dune Part 3. Pretty standard. Yeah, pretty. I'm just that trailer was crazy. Everybody, the team is crazy. The Dune Part 2 is like in my like top 7 movies of all time.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Spider-Man and Avengers are probably right after that. I'd say 100%. Like that's
Right
pretty
after.
far up. Yeah, right after. But
I'm mad
pumped,
at that
man.
list. I got to learn more about Dune. I haven't watched any of them.
Oh. Whoa.
I just haven't. I haven't got around to it.
Oh man, yeah. Set aside a cozy Saturday night for those. Get your jammies on, dim the lights. It'll be fun.
I'll check it out. Add to my list.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, Corey, I thank you for joining me in the Chamber of
No,
Reflection.
thank you, man. This has been great. I love this. I love what you do. I love doing it myself. So to do it together is even amazing.
Hey, we'll get Corey back on here, man. We'll get him back on here. We'll get some guests on here, and we'll keep going. Until then, everybody, stay breezy.
Stay breezy.